I'm Alex Martini, and today we're talking about cars, more specifically your car and how you can make it suck less if you're modifying it based on maybe a couple 2-3 things. So, first things first, we're gonna take you down a trip of memory lane. I don't even know if that's the right way to say the analogy. I probably messed it up, but my dad learned English out of an English-Spanish dictionary. We have a Ferrari F430. It's on air suspension, and we went to go put that on air suspension way back in 2020. More specifically, like 6 weeks before slamming off Gatlinburg, and we rushed through it. We tried to do everything that we could to get the car on air as fast as humanly possible because, well, just like most car builds, it's one of those things where, you know, you wait and then you wait, and then the night before you do everything you possibly can to get the car ready for the car show. It's just like, I don't know how it works. The procrastination is real in car things, and that couldn't be more true for when you're trying to put car parts on your car. So that led to quite a few mistakes, you know? And in 2021, when we went to Gatlinburg again, I was dealing with air suspension issues. In Gatlinburg 2022, I was dealing with air suspension issues. In Gatlinburg 2023, I was damn near dealing with air suspension issues. But the rush was pretty much across the board. We had actually taken that car to SEMA as well, and we had it in the AccuAir booth, which was pretty gnarly. But the thing was is that every single time we went to work on it, it was rushed. So moral of the story here is every single time I rushed something, it went terrible in the long term. Now it is 2024, goddamn near 4 years later, and I'm gonna have to go back into this with Gels and Dakota to clean up the air suspension again, but doing it the right way, going the right route, and not taking, you know, 2 hours to try and put the whole thing together. So the only people that can really build a car like overnight in 48 hours or 72 hours, you see those videos out there, is nobody. Nobody can build a car that fast. I have reason to believe that that is just not real. That is not something that you should ever try to do because it's just never gonna happen. Next thing up, I would say, is back in the day, Becca and I had a Mazda Miata. It was actually Becca's car. Supercharged, it was an NA, and had a bunch of really cool stuff. And we decided that we wanted to make it a little bit more of a race car. Now, the problem was is when we were going back and building that, we didn't have a ton of money. We had almost none, actually. I was going to school. We were trying to figure out what we were doing with getting married. We had bills to pay. We had all that sort of stuff. So in terms of funds, we had just about none of it. So when we went to go get seat harnesses and quick releases and things like that, we didn't necessarily buy the most expensive stuff. Instead, we just bought what we really thought was gonna look cool and kind of look like a race car. And that's tip number 2, is that anything that takes away from drivability is probably just not worth it, okay? So if you plan to own a car for a long time, the little stuff counts. And I am like a huge proponent of never putting harnesses in a street car. It's a useless mod, and it makes everything worse. If you think you want one, go find a buddy that already has it, try to sit in the car, lace up, and then go try to change the radio volume in like the center console, or go try to put on like some air conditioning, or try to turn on your heated seat. And you'll realize very quickly that every time you go to move your torso, you're gonna have to unbuckle the 17 strap Valley Fair thing that you've got going up in the driver's seat. Finally, the biggest one that I've learned when it comes to buying car parts. Like, it seems like price can determine the value of something as long as you look for insurance. So let me explain. So when we talk about like the wheel stuff, the wheel industry, like most China wheels are made the same. Most Taiwanese wheels are made the same. And most Japanese wheels are made the same. But the pricing is so off across this. Like, if you actually go, this is gonna be a really weird thing to say, but like, if you were to go to China and you were to go to the wheel factory, okay, and you were to go to the first wheel factory, and you're like, I don't like that one, I wanna go to a different one. You're not going like across China. You're not going, you know, on a 17-hour train ride somewhere else to go look at the second factory. You are exiting the really oddly dark, mysterious factory, and you're just kind of going across the street. Because all of those factories are actually in the exact same place, and most of them just talk to each other. So a lot of times when you're negotiating a rate with a wheel factory and you go to one factory to another, they already know that you're planning to go to this other person. And a lot of times it's kind of like this fake, I don't know, Truman Show style feeling when you're negotiating wheels in China, because at the end of the day, they're all talking to each other to begin with. And all the costs are relatively the same. But when you look at the pricing of those same wheels, some are $600 and some are $1,400. Like, let's take a more appropriate comparison, something that's gonna strike the chords a little bit more. Like, I don't know, a Japanese wheel, a Graham-Lights 57. It's a cool wheel that I love, okay? And it's expensive as hell when you consider what you're actually getting, which is just a pressure cast wheel. It's not rotary formed, it's not forged, it's not multi-piece, and it's not competitive to an Enki or even a Koenig at the same time. So you're buying for just the brand, which is fine. But to say you're buying for like a better rotary forged wheel is not true. true unless you really do a lot of research. And in the same point, when you're looking at a Chinese wheel and both of them are flow form and saying one is better than the other, a lot of times it's like comparing, I don't know, like a $60 bottle of wine to a $65 bottle of wine when you're not a wine person and the last time you drank wine was out of a bag. So really, it's just not worth arguing on that side of the thing. There's usually 2 to 3 key things that matter with whatever you're buying for car parts, okay? But check that stuff and don't just buy the most expensive. If you're doing wheels, for instance, a lot of times I would look at the load rating to the weight. Check the finish reviews. If it brags about weight, but it doesn't have any sort of back pad pocketing, that's just called marketing. Really jump into what you want to have on a wheel and start to learn from, a lot of places are the forums. People have bought these wheels, they've made mistakes, they've talked about the poor reviews, and a lot of times that's the stuff that you're looking to find out. And finally, I would say that trend following, in my opinion, is totally fine, okay, but it's not forever. I want to talk about, well, one time I had like a messy livery on a 2001 996 turbo I had. I front end swapped my B7 A4. Like, it's all fun and games. And for me, personally, those were all kind of trending things. Those were trendy things other people were doing I thought was cool and I wanted to do too. And a lot of times everybody wants to be original. Everybody wants to only do their own thing. They never want to be the second to anything. And to me, I would say like fuck that. Like, really, you will expand your taste by trying new things, by learning how to test new things. And a lot of times, the safest place to do that, quite honestly, is following a trend, no matter what that trend may be. If the trend is fucking spinners and you're gonna go put spinners on your S-chassis, you're gonna realize really quickly that you hate it. But at least you try it, and that's gonna help develop your taste. Taste and style are something that only come from you, and a lot of times, they only come from when you make mistakes with your car, not when you get it right. Because a lot of times, getting it right is usually like the more modest, the higher quality, the thing that takes the more time, the more expensive. A lot of times, that's the path to get something right the first time. And unfortunately for most of us, we are building things on like a fraction of a budget, trying to go to school, trying to save up for a wedding, trying to save up for insurance because money's not real, and trying to pay for dinner that's now $160, and that makes no fucking sense. And apparently an air intake is now $900. So that being said, it's okay to follow trends. Just try not to make it your mission with every single car. Take something out of it, and a lot of times you'll start to develop your own original taste, which I think is super rad and super cool. And that's why I love going out to the build threads over on MartiniWorks, because there's so many unique styles and things that are truly different, and a lot of super high quality builds that inspire me to try something new with my stuff every single day. So with that being said, those are some of my tips for how to suck less in modifying cars, but you can let me know in the comments below what's one thing you wish somebody told you before you jumped into your car. And of course, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.